Landon's father prescribed a risky experimental therapy. The drug used toxins to stimulate the body's life force. This treatment could potentially extend his life. The toxicity was severe and caused immense pain. It brought unpredictable side effects for the patient. After 3 days, Landon slowly lost feeling in his legs. The time gained from the drug was limited. Every day in winter could be his last. But Julian would not harm him while he lived. Julian was waiting for Landon to die. Then he believed everything would be over. In mid-October, Mr. Peterson returned to the city. He had been away for several months on business. He immediately requested a meeting with his employers. Landon was asleep most of the time now, so Mr. Peterson met only with Ethan. He reported that the investigation was complete. He spoke in a very low voice. He confirmed the estate's extra income in Lexington. It was indeed from an illegal smuggling operation. Ethan's eyes darkened, and he gave a slight smile. He found it strange that Mrs. Blackwood was so bold. She couldn't even protect her own children. Yet she ran a business that was a capital offense. The previous administration had struggled with smuggling. The current leadership cracked down hard on it. They even introduced new laws against such crimes. The profits were high, so people took risks. Ethan never imagined Mrs. Blackwood was one of them. Ethan thought for a moment. He said the profits seemed too small for smuggling. Mr. Peterson agreed, calling Ethan perceptive. He explained the estate was just a front. The bulk of the money went to Mrs. Blackwood's family. That explained everything. Her family was less prominent than the Blackwoods. They used the Blackwood name for their operations. They assumed no one would notice so far away. Local officials likely looked the other way. They did not want to offend the powerful Blackwood family. Lord Blackwood was too cautious for such a scheme. He had likely been kept in the dark. If the truth came out, he might be spared. His years of loyalty could save his family. But financial ruin was almost certain. Mr. Peterson asked if Landon should be told. Ethan decided against it. Landon was still legally part of the Blackwood family. He would be implicated if the scandal broke. Ethan looked out the window with a calm expression. He said he would handle everyone after Landon was gone. They discussed more details and evidence. Ethan noted Lexington was not far from Charleston. He asked about the plague in the South. Mr. Peterson's face grew serious. He described the plague as swift and deadly. A person would develop a high fever and sores. The weak would die within 3 days. Entire villages in Charleston were wiped out. Many refugees were heading north. Cases were appearing in northern cities. It seemed destined to reach the capital soon. He heard doctors were gathering at the National Medical Institute. They were trying to find a cure quickly. It was a turbulent time for the nation. This winter felt like the coldest in a decade. A low cough came from the bedroom. Landon was awake. Mr. Peterson said he wished to see him. Ethan understood his loyalty and agreed. He told him not to stay too long. Landon's medicine was late today. Ethan decided to check on it himself. Mr. Peterson followed Rose into the bedroom. He saw Landon lying on the bottom of a bunk bed. His face was pale and drawn. He needed help just to sit up. It was clear he was near the end. Landon's voice was weak. He simply said Peterson was back. Mr. Peterson's heart ached. He offered his respects to Landon. Landon dismissed Rose. He asked if the task for Ethan was finished. Peterson remembered Ethan's instructions. He replied that everything was under Ethan's control. Landon nodded slightly. Then he asked about the task he had given. He wanted to know if the person was found. Peterson confirmed they had been. He pulled a locket from his coat. He said this was the item Landon had asked for. Landon gestured for him to open it. Peterson asked if Ethan should know about this. Landon shook his head. He said the time was not right. He then asked Peterson to find the estate's carpenter. Meanwhile, Ethan heard arguing near the medical storeroom. He recognized the voice of his assistant, Leo. Leo insisted that the rare botanical compound was for Landon. Someone else argued that Mr. Mason's illness was also an illness. The storeroom had very little of the compound left. They complained that Landon's wing had taken it all. Leo was furious. He shouted that Mason's condition could not compare to Landon's. Ethan's voice cut through the argument. He asked what was happening. Everyone fell silent when they saw him, but their resentment was clear. Landon was dying. Ethan would soon be a widower. The staff's respect for him was fading. Leo ran to him, explaining the situation indignantly. Mason had been seeking cures for his own ailment. He had tried countless doctors without success. A quack doctor recently claimed he had a cure. Mason was desperate and believed him. The new prescription required the rare botanical compound. This compound was incredibly expensive and scarce. Ethan had spent a fortune acquiring a small supply for Landon. Today, Leo came to get the daily dose. He found Mason's staff demanding a share of it. Leo refused, and the argument began. Ethan stated that his wing's medicine would no longer be stored there. He told Leo to bring Landon's medicine back. They would prepare it themselves from now on. A bold maid from Mason's wing stepped forward. She reminded Ethan that Landon and Mason were brothers. She asked if Landon couldn't spare some for his younger sibling. Ethan's voice was ice. He said he could not. He told her to inform Mason. His condition would never be cured. He would remain impotent for life. The maid clenched her jaw. She said she would report his exact words to Mason and his mother. They would then tell Natalie at the prince's residence. Ethan gave a cold smile. He told her not to miss a single word. Back in his wing, Ethan entered the bedroom. Landon was already sitting up. Getting out of bed was difficult for him now. He had the carpenter build a small table for his bed. He was hunched over it, drawing something. His hand trembled badly. He had to use his left hand to steady his right. He looked up when Ethan entered and smiled. He greeted Ethan with a warm, personal nickname. Ethan was used to the strange term. He knew Landon meant no harm. Landon seemed happy whenever he said it. Perhaps it meant something different where he came from. Thinking of Landon's suffering, Ethan allowed it. He asked if Landon had seen Mr. Peterson. Landon confirmed he had. He claimed they only exchanged simple greetings. Ethan sat beside the bed. He saw the strange symbol Landon was drawing. It was a circle with an inner arc. A smaller circle was inside the arc like an eye. He asked what it was. Landon did not answer directly. He asked Ethan if he knew what people who date lookalikes have in common. Ethan remembered a previous conversation. He replied that they enjoyed self-torment. Landon said that was one thing. The second was that they always fall for one of the substitutes. Then they suffer from unrequited love and regret. These substitutes often had certain last names. Ethan felt fortunate Landon had met him. No one else could understand his strange pronouncements. Ethan processed this. He asked if Landon meant Julian would fall for a substitute. Landon smiled, calling him clever. Ethan recalled the names Landon had mentioned. He suggested a name. Silas. Landon was surprised Ethan knew. Ethan reminded him he had written the name before. Landon praised his intelligence again. Ethan then asked who Silas was. He wondered if he was one of the prince's lovers. Landon clarified that Silas was a man. He was Julian's personal bodyguard. Landon stared at the drawing, his lips pale. He said Silas was always near Julian. They had probably already seen him. Ethan saw the signs of an attack coming on. He calmly told Landon to lie down and rest. Suddenly, a commotion erupted outside. Someone shouted for Mason to leave. Landon needed to rest. Mason yelled for them to get out of his way. A struggle followed. Ethan stood up. He knew Mason had come for the compound. Landon coughed again, his face looking worse. Ethan was about to call for guards. But Mason had already burst into the room. Ethan stood in front of Landon's bed. He told Mason to get out. Mason's face was twisted with a sick rage. He pointed at Landon with a sneering smile. He said more medicine was useless for him. He questioned why Landon should compete with him. He sneered that Landon couldn't produce an heir. Ethan ignored him and called for his staff. Leo rushed in with several men. Ethan ordered them to drag Mason out. Mason struggled as they restrained him. He stared at Ethan with pure hatred. He asked how long Ethan could be arrogant. Once Landon died, Ethan would be just a widower. He said Ethan should be sold to a brothel. It would be a waste of his looks otherwise. Ethan fought back a wave of violent anger. Landon needed rest. He just had to remove Mason. He could deal with him later after Landon was asleep. Landon weakly called his name. He whispered that he felt unwell. Then he made a small sound. A trickle of red blood ran from his mouth. Leo cried out Landon's name. In an instant, Ethan's cold demeanor shattered. A storm of fury erupted in his eyes. He grabbed Mason's collar violently. He slammed Mason's head against a wooden pillar. He snarled that Mason was looking for death. Though Landon was gravely ill, Ethan cared for him meticulously. Landon rarely appeared so disheveled. He had never coughed up blood before. Ethan could not save Landon's life, but he wanted him to die with dignity. Blood was a stain that should not touch him. Landon's bleeding worsened, as if a switch had been flipped. Blood soaked his collar and the quilt. He soon fell unconscious. Rose sobbed, begging Landon not to frighten her. The staff panicked, looking to Ethan for orders. Mason was forced to his knees by the guards. He had lost all his dignity. The sight of the blood triggered a memory. He remembered a similar scene with a prostitute. His eyes widened in a crazed delight. He shouted at Ethan to look. His husband was bleeding so much. He was dying. He taunted that even with all of Ethan's medical skill, he couldn't be saved. Ethan looked at him and let out a low laugh. The sound was bone-chilling. Combined with his face, it was strangely beautiful. It sent shivers down everyone's spine. By the time Mason recovered his senses, he was being thrown out. The bed curtains were drawn. Ethan worked until midnight. He managed to save Landon's life for now. The staff cleaned the blood. They changed Landon into fresh clothes and linens. Landon slept quietly, peacefully. He seemed to feel no pain. Ethan watched him for a while. Then a messenger arrived from the main house. Mrs. Blackwood requested his presence. Mason's outburst had caused a major incident. Lord Blackwood was also alerted. He learned what had happened. He angrily asked where that unfilial son was. At this point, Mrs. Blackwood dropped all pretense. She began to cry softly. She asked if her husband only remembered Landon was sick. Did he forget Mason was sick too? The Lord retorted that Mason's illness was different. Mason knew his brother was critically ill, yet he caused a disturbance and was disrespectful. He deserved to be punished. Of course, he deserved punishment, but after being thrown out, Mason had fainted. The doctor said he was weak. He must not be agitated. She said with a heavy heart that Landon was already so far gone. Did the Lord really intend to punish Mason now? could worsen his condition. Mrs. Blackwood wiped her tears, watching her husband's face. She mentioned that Mason had just found a potential cure. He was desperate to provide an heir for the family. He acted rashly out of that desperation. She said she had nothing more to say if he punished their son. She only begged him to wait until Mason was stronger. The lack of an heir was Lord Blackwood's great sorrow. Hearing Mason might be cured, he wavered. He asked if she was telling the truth. Mrs. Blackwood nodded repeatedly. She swore she was not deceiving him. Ethan watched them coldly. He felt they were wasting his time. Lord Blackwood glanced at Ethan. He declared they should let both sons recover first. Other matters could be dealt with later. Ethan walked out of the main house. Leo immediately met him. He asked what the Lord had decided. Ethan sneered. He asked if Leo really expected anything from him. Leo was incredulous. He pointed out that Mason had made Landon cough up blood. He asked if the matter was simply dropped. Ethan told him it was enough. He then instructed Leo to find Mr. Peterson. Landon remained unconscious for 3 days. Mason avoided punishment, but Lord Blackwood forbade him from going near Landon's wing. The Lord also had the steward by the rare compound. It was for Mason's treatment. Mason consumed expensive herbs like they were meals. He spent a fortune but saw no improvement. He belatedly realized the quack doctor had probably tricked him. In a rage, he locked the doctor in a woodshed. He threatened to cut off his hands if he failed. The frightened doctor somehow produced another formula. He swore this one would work. Mason was skeptical but tried it. After taking the pills, he felt a change. He was energetic, his body warm, his limbs strong. Mason was overjoyed. He believed his shameful illness would soon be cured. Mrs. Blackwood was also delighted. Her stepson was dying. Her daughter was the prince's consort. If her son was cured, her life would be perfect. Her only worry was a lack of news from the palace. She had sent messages to Natalie, but received no reply. She sent a generous gift to the eunuch who acted as their messenger. The eunuch threw her servant out. He coldly stated that the Blackwood family had raised a fine daughter. Mrs. Blackwood was frantic. She couldn't find out what had happened. Her brief period of peace was over. She did not know what Natalie had done. But Ethan knew very well. Dr. Hughes had brought him news. His plan had worked. A few days ago, Julian suffered a sudden headache. The pain was splitting, affecting his hearing and vision. He wanted to bash his head against a wall. The royal physicians could not find a cause. The prince's mother ordered a full investigation. They checked everything from food to clothing, but they found nothing. Her lady-in-waiting suggested the problem might be external. So the consort's residences were also searched. The scented oil Natalie used was found. The doctors confirmed it was harmless on its own. But Julian was suspicious. He ordered no one in his residence could use any scents. Julian was not a fool. The same trick would only work once. Ethan knew Natalie was no longer useful. He had to extract her final value. Dr. Hughes was loyal to Ethan's father. He deserved a reward for his help. With the royal physicians stumped, it was Dr. Hughes who found the cause. Natalie's scented oil was harmless alone. But when mixed with the scents used by the queen and prince's mother, it became a problem. Julian visited both their chambers daily. The combination of scents created the severe headaches. The truth enraged the prince's mother. She believed Natalie did it deliberately at the queen's behest. She slapped Natalie and called her a peasant. She almost reported it to the ruler. Julian stopped her. Natalie cried, insisting she knew nothing. She only used the scent because the prince liked it. Julian knew she was not lying. Natalie needed the palace's support. She had no motive to harm him. Besides, Julian did not want conflict with the Blackwoods. He was still solidifying his power. He dismissed the matter as an accident. He had Natalie moved to a remote courtyard. After that, Mrs. Blackwood received no more news from her daughter. Natalie had lost favor completely. She had no chance of recovery. If Julian died, she would be a widow in the palace for life. If he became ruler, she would be a forgotten consort. She could blame no one but herself. It was her choice from the start. Dr. Hughes, however, was praised for his skill. He became a rising star in the medical community. His future was bright. Ethan knew the whole story, but he only told Landon the first part. He said Julian was suffering from severe headaches. The doctors were helpless. If it continued, he would be beyond saving. Landon heard this and asked if he could stop his medicine. He said the flare-ups were very painful. Ethan's chest tightened. He told Landon he did not have to take it. Landon watched him for a moment, then smiled. He said that was a job well done. It deserved a reward. He called for Rose. Rose brought in a carved wooden box. It had 5 layers and several small drawers. A handle was on top with straps on the sides. It was a physician's traveling medical case. Ethan noticed a familiar symbol carved in a corner. It was the same one Landon had drawn. Landon explained he had it made from his own design. He wanted Ethan to use it when he eventually worked at the National Institute. Ethan smiled softly and thanked him. Looking at that smile, Landon couldn't resist. He said there should be an exchange of gifts. He asked what Ethan would give him in return. Ethan asked what he wanted. Landon pretended to think hard. Then he sighed that he still wanted to see Ethan in his wedding suit. Ethan froze. Being a man married to another man was a point of shame. Even if he married his soulmate, that fact remained. Wearing the wedding suit again meant reliving that humiliation. But if Landon truly wanted it, perhaps he could. Before he could answer, Landon reached out. He tried to touch the hair falling on Ethan's chest. He missed several times, as if his vision was blurred. Landon laughed as if he had won. He asked if Ethan couldn't tell he was joking. Ethan quietly said he could not. He added that Landon was always like this. It was impossible to tell if he was serious. Landon later took his medicine obediently despite his words. That night, Ethan watched him fall asleep. Hurried footsteps sounded outside. Rose ran in out of breath. She announced that Mr. Mason was gone. Ethan gestured for her to be quiet. He asked what she meant by gone. She clarified that he was dead. Ethan just said, "Oh." He gently tucked Landon in. He whispered that he had done another bad thing. Mason died from an overdose of his pills. It happened very suddenly. At noon, he was full of energy. By evening, he was dead, bleeding from every orifice. Mrs. Blackwood collapsed from the shock. Lord Blackwood went to see the body once. He then stumbled to the family shrine. His hair turned white overnight. He could not even attend his duties the next day. A distant relative, Pamela, ended up arranging the funeral. She had already been preparing for a funeral, but it had been for Landon. No one expected Mason to die first and so violently. The items for Landon could not be used. Pamela had to purchase new things hastily. The Blackwood estate was draped in mourning. Mrs. Blackwood knelt by the coffin, her eyes empty. Mason had been a popular man. Many people came to pay their respects. Among them was a stranger. He claimed to be a messenger from the prince's residence. He came on behalf of Natalie. Mrs. Blackwood finally showed a flicker of life. She asked in a hoarse voice if Natalie was well. The man looked troubled. Under her questioning, he revealed Natalie's confinement. Mrs. Blackwood stared blankly for a long time. Then she saw Ethan. She suddenly screamed, pointing at him. She shrieked that he was a demon. The family had welcomed a demon. Ethan calmly said she was mistaken. He reminded her she once called him the family's lucky star. Mrs. Blackwood's eyes widened, and she began to babble nonsense. She had completely lost her mind. The doctors said she was unlikely to recover. Lord Blackwood was overwhelmed by the tragedies. He became ill and took to his bed. He left all family affairs to Pamela. During Mason's funeral, Landon's health improved slightly. He had more moments of clarity. He could hold a conversation for a short time. He was not surprised to hear about Mason's death, nor about Mrs. Blackwood's insanity or his father's illness. He looked at Ethan with admiration. He said that Ethan seemed to have grown more beautiful. He was like a poisonous flower, finally blooming. His beauty was startling and dangerous. Ethan looked down at his own clean hands. He said with a hint of accusation that Landon had made him this way. Landon chuckled softly, saying it was his honor. A funeral dirge played outside. The two were silent for a time. Landon suddenly asked where Mason would go. Ethan replied that people are simply gone when they die. Landon then asked if Ethan knew how he came to be there. Ethan was taken aback. He said he couldn't know if Landon didn't tell him. Landon explained he was saving a pregnant woman. He was hit by a truck and died. He remarked that he must have been a good person. Ethan's eyes widened. He asked if Landon meant he had died once before. Landon nodded. He said the truck ran right over him. He added with a grim smile that it hurt. He then mused that if he saved 2 lives, perhaps he got to live twice. A friend had once told him he was not fated to die. Ethan stood up abruptly. He demanded to know what he meant by perhaps. Landon could no longer pretend to be relaxed. His voice was strained. He said it was just a possibility. His death this time might be final. If he did wake up, it might not be here. He asked if Ethan understood. Ethan stared at him, stunned. After a long moment, he asked what his chances were. Landon was silent for a long time. He whispered that he did not know. Ethan's control snapped. He asked what the point of this was. He had prepared himself to lose Landon forever. Now Landon was giving him a sliver of maybe. What did Landon expect him to do? Wait for an answer that might never come? He said he would rather have no hope at all. Landon asked him to wait 1 year. He then corrected himself, thinking a year was too long. He suggested 6 months, then just 100 days. He spoke urgently, afraid of being rejected. He said if he did not return in 100 days, Ethan should consider him truly gone. They could have a code. If he returned in another body, they could use it to recognize each other. Ethan's throat felt dry, his mind in turmoil. He snarled that Landon was a bastard. Landon forced a smile. He joked that Ethan was particularly harsh. Ethan closed his eyes and said, "Tell me." Landon was surprised. Ethan clarified he wanted to hear the code. A slow smile spread across Landon's face. He said he needed to think of one. It had to be easy to remember, and no one else would know it. After some thought, he suggested the odds are good, but the goods are odd. Ethan coldly asked what that was supposed to mean. He demanded something he could understand. Landon said he could ask him anything. Ethan then asked what his strange nickname meant, and what another odd word he used meant. Landon ignored the latter questions. He began to explain the code's origin. He was speaking with excitement when his brow furrowed. He bit his lip. It was a sign of a flare-up. Ethan said he would get the needles. Acupuncture could ease the pain slightly. Landon stopped him, shaking his head. He asked Ethan to stay with him. Ethan sat down. letting Landon rest in his arms. Landon stared blankly ahead, his fingers gripping Ethan's arm. He asked with a smile if Ethan had memorized the code. Ethan covered his eyes with his hand. He confirmed that he had. Landon's voice faded. He said 100 days would be enough. He told Ethan not to wait too long. It would break his heart. After the first freeze came the first snow. This year's snow was late. The sky had been gray for days. Landon's lucid moments became rarer. When he did wake, it was usually from pain. He could no longer use the wheelchair. He was confined to his bed. At the end of the month, Ethan returned to his family home. It was his mother's 40th birthday. She saw he was alone. She knew Landon's condition was not good. She did not ask many questions. His younger brother asked why Landon had not come. Ethan just said he would come next time. They had a quiet family meal. His mother looked out at the gray sky. She hoped the snow would bring his father home. Ethan did not stay long. He returned to the estate after lunch. At his wing, he saw Rose humming in the courtyard. She was watering a withered tree. He asked why she was so happy. She cheerfully announced that Landon was awake. She said he was in high spirits. He could sit up on his own. He ate a small bowl of porridge. He even asked for a red, festive robe. She asked if this meant he was getting better. Ethan froze, his heart sinking. He went to the bedroom door. It was slightly ajar. He saw Leo kneeling by Landon's wheelchair. He was placing a blanket over his legs. Leo was not as naive as Rose. He saw Landon's unusual energy. He was forcing a smile as he spoke to him. He asked what Landon wanted for dinner. Landon thought for a moment. He said he wanted pecan pie. Leo's voice was thick. He promised to have it made. Landon turned his head toward the wardrobe. He asked what time it was. Ethan looked at the wardrobe. He saw nothing unusual. Leo told him it was late afternoon. Landon worriedly asked why Ethan wasn't back. Leo assured him he would be back for dinner. Landon kept looking in that direction. He said Ethan needed to hurry. Ethan stepped back from the door. In the courtyard, Rose was still humming. He called her name. He said he needed to borrow her makeup box. Ethan had worn makeup only once in his life. It was on his wedding day. It had been light, just his brows and lips. A small decorative mark was placed on his forehead. Landon had only seemed to care about the suit and that mark. Ethan looked in the mirror. He realized he had lost weight. He carefully drew the mark between his eyebrows. It was a simple three-stroke design. Changed his entire appearance. He felt like he was no longer himself. He was a spouse, adorning himself for his partner. He then changed out of his plain clothes. He put on the elaborate wedding suit, piece by piece. He left his hair down, unbound. This was enough. He was sending someone off, not getting married. Leo came looking for him. He was stunned when he saw Ethan. Ethan walked towards him, the suit trailing behind him. His long hair partially veiled his face. Leo had never seen him look so beautiful. Ethan asked where Landon was. Leo said Landon had gone to the courtyard to wait. His voice broke with emotion. He started to say something about Landon. Ethan calmly said he knew. He told Leo to prepare dinner. He said they would not need servants tonight. The wedding suit was heavy and awkward. He had to lift the hem to walk quickly. He hurried through the quiet corridor. He reached the courtyard. Landon was sitting in his wheelchair. He wore a bright red robe over a white fur cloak. He looked like a red flower in the snow. He was startlingly vibrant. Landon looked radiant. His cheeks and lips had color. His eyes were bright with a youthful energy. He looked like he did when they first met. If his clothes were not so loose on him, if his legs were not numb, Ethan might have believed he was getting better. Landon sat there, waiting for him. Ethan's lips parted. He said Landon's name. Landon's reaction was slow. He turned his head and saw him. A smile spread across his face. He said Ethan was back. It was his usual greeting. Ethan felt a heavy blow to his chest. Landon had spoken so often of wanting this. But now that it was here, he showed no surprise. Ethan raised his hand to touch Landon's eyes. His fingertips almost brushed his lashes. Landon did not blink. He just kept smiling. He asked if Ethan ate his mother's pecan pie. He asked if his brother's front tooth had grown back. Ethan's hand froze in midair. He slowly lowered it. He said yes, he had, and it did. How could he have forgotten? Landon's body was full of toxins. Any symptom was possible. How could he forget? Landon said he had the kitchen make some pie too. He asked Ethan to eat with him. Ethan nodded. He heard Landon call his name again. He replied, "All right." He said it was cold and pushed him inside. They ate in the main hall. Landon was too weak to feed himself. Leo served a table full of food. His eyes were red as he was about to leave. Landon stopped him and asked if there was wine. Ethan never allowed his patients to drink. He said Landon's body could not handle it. Landon protested that he was 21 now. Ethan took a deep breath. He said age had nothing to do with it. Landon insisted it did. 21 meant he could do as he pleased. He pleaded with Dr. Ethan to let him have one drink. Ethan's composure held. He told Leo to bring the wine. Leo brought the wine and then excused himself. He was afraid he would start crying. Landon asked who would serve him. Ethan said he would. Landon acted surprised, asking if he was serious. Ethan served Landon some soup. Landon obediently drank it from his hand. He ate a few bites, then asked for wine. The wine was mild. Landon took a sip and praised it. His sense of taste was already gone. He didn't even find his bitter medicine unpleasant. Ethan turned his head away, unable to watch. He heard Landon ask if this was the wine they had at their wedding. Without waiting for an answer, he answered himself. He joked that Ethan hadn't drunk with a rooster, had he? Ethan closed his eyes. He said he couldn't remember. Landon said they would pretend he had drunk with him. Ethan composed himself. Outside, the sky had grown dark. A light snow began to fall. It was the first snow of winter. A flicker of joy rose in Ethan. He remembered Landon wanting to see him in the snow. He started to ask if Landon wanted to go see. The last word stuck in his throat. Landon's tone was light. He asked if it was snowing. He said he was quite lucky then. He suggested they go out to watch it. The servants had been dismissed for the night. No one saw him in his wedding suit. He stood in the snow, holding an umbrella. No one saw. Landon held out his hand. He let the white flakes land in his palm. Away from the indoor lights, his face grew pale. Only his eyes remained bright. Like a night-blooming flower, he faded quickly after his brief bloom. Ethan didn't know how to make it last longer. He could only hold Landon's cold hand. He asked if he was cold. Landon shook his head. He suddenly asked if Ethan still preferred women. Ethan's throat tightened. He said it was natural. Landon nodded, smiling. He said that was good. He watched the snow for a while longer. His eyelids drooped. He said he was a little tired. Ethan's heart felt empty. He gently told him to sleep then. When he slept, he would be free from pain. But Landon stubbornly kept his eyes open. He smiled apologetically. He said he didn't think he could hold on. He told Ethan not to be angry. Ethan knelt in the snow. He held the umbrella with one hand. He cupped Landon's face with the other. His voice was soft. He said he would not be angry. Landon probably knew his plan with Julian had not worked. Of course he knew. Landon was too smart not to know. Landon smiled under the umbrella. He told one last joke. On the day Julian dies, don't forget to tell your husband. Ethan couldn't help but smile slightly. Landon seemed to sense his smile. He kept looking at him until he couldn't anymore. He finally closed his eyes. He said he would sleep for a while. He asked Ethan to wake him up. Ethan promised he would. The snow fell harder. The man in his hands grew colder and colder. The wind howled. Everything was silent. He wore a wedding suit. He wore a decorative mark, just like the day they first met. That night, Landon died before Ethan's eyes. His expression was peaceful. He wore a festive red robe. His body was clean and pure. One hand was held by Ethan. The other rested on the wheelchair's arm. He looked as if he were just sleeping. His head lolled to the side, just like when he used to doze off in his chair. Ethan instinctively dropped the umbrella. He held Landon's cold face with both hands. Snow fell on their hair, faces, and shoulders. The undertaker had explained the funeral procedures. He should have remembered them clearly, but now his mind was blank. Landon was dead. What was he supposed to do? Leo finally came to check on them. He saw his master kneeling before the wheelchair. The red wedding suit spread across the snow. His long hair hid his face. One hand held Landon's. The other cradled his face. The open umbrella lay beside them, covered in snow. They were as still as statues. Leo cried out Landon's name. The sound was a heart-wrenching sob. It was Leo's voice. He was someone Ethan had brought from his family home. He had once hated the entire Blackwood estate. Now he was crying so bitterly for Landon. Landon had a real talent for winning people over. Leo knelt before the wheelchair, sobbing uncontrollably. His cries pulled Ethan from his numb state. Landon was dead. Perhaps he was reborn in some strange world. Or perhaps he was truly gone. No one could give him an answer. He did not know if he would ever get one. But he had promised Landon he would watch him go. And then he would live on. He had done the first part. Ethan slowly stood up. He had been in one position for too long. The world went dark for a moment. He nearly fell, but he steadied himself. He heard himself tell Leo not to cry. He reminded him what the undertaker had said. Tears on the body would prevent dreams of the deceased. Leo choked out Ethan's title. Ethan gradually remembered the undertaker's instructions. He ordered them to move Landon inside. He told them to cover his face with a white cloth. The burial clothes were not needed. He would be buried in this robe. Then he told Leo to announce the death. He paused, then added a final instruction. They were to carry him on their back, not in their arms. Leo nodded through his tears. He asked what Ethan would do. Ethan replied that he was going to change his clothes. He could not let anyone else see him like this. Only Landon could. The funeral proceeded in an orderly fashion. Ethan oversaw every detail. He gave Landon a grand farewell. News reached the palace. The queen was deeply saddened. Her sister's son had not lived to see 20. The ruler offered his condolences and gifts. The Blackwood patriarch was to rest and recover. The prince would temporarily manage his duties. Landon's maternal grandparents were also grief-stricken. They sent trusted staff to help their grandson's widower. They knew Landon had cared for this spouse. Many officials came to offer condolences. They saw the widower kneeling by the coffin. He wore white mourning clothes. His expression was detached. He did not shed a single tear. A large mourning banner hung in the hall. It made his beauty seem ethereal and unsettling. Rumors began to spread. 2 young masters dead in a month. The patriarch ill, the matriarch insane. It was unnatural. A marriage between 2 men was against heaven. The widower was too beautiful. A sick man could not handle such a partner. This was their retribution. At night, the hall was quiet. Rose placed paper money into a brazier, crying. She was the most heartbroken of all. Ethan told her there was nothing to cry about. He had told them Landon would not survive the winter. Rose sobbed, asking if Ethan wasn't sad at all. Ethan paused. He said he was fine. Everything had happened as he expected. He had a year to prepare. There was nothing left to be sad about. Ethan looked at Landon's memorial tablet. Something about it felt wrong. He realized what it was. He stood up abruptly. He said they had made a mistake. Pamela and Rose stared at him. He stated that Landon was not his name. Pamela thought he was delirious from exhaustion. She suggested he rest. But Ethan shook his head, repeating his words. Pamela asked what his name was then. Ethan's lips parted. His name is Jay. The word died on his lips. The sound of crying continued. He could not remember. He only recalled a night long ago. The man had joked, "My name is John Smith." Then he'd laughed. "Just kidding. My real name is Ja." Ethan let out a soft laugh. The candlelight illuminated his pale, beautiful face. The smile vanished. He sat before the coffin in silence until dawn. Time seemed to move quickly after Landon's death. Soon it was the 7th day. It was said the spirit returns home on this night. It was for a final look before moving on. Ethan did not believe in such things, but he went to bed early anyway. He fell asleep quickly. In his dream, he heard someone call his name. The voice was unfamiliar, but the tone was not. It was lazy and tinged with a smile, like someone he knew. Ethan's eyes flew open. He expected to see Landon. Instead, he saw a strange young man. The man was tall, with broad shoulders and long legs. He wore modern clothes Ethan had never seen. His hair was short and neat. His features were sharp and handsome. He looked lazily beautiful, as if he needed more sleep. The young man was sitting on the floor by the bed. He smiled when he saw Ethan was awake. He called him by his name. Ethan stared at him. The young man said he hadn't lied. He asked if he wasn't better looking than Landon. Ethan nodded numbly. The young man asked if his voice was better too. Ethan nodded again. The young man took his hand. He placed it on his own firm stomach. He offered for Ethan to feel his abs. The man's clothes were thin. Ethan felt the warm, solid muscles. It was incredibly real. Was this a dream? Was this the Landon he imagined? The young man sighed. He said it was a shame Ethan was so dazed. He said he would have to leave if Ethan didn't speak. Panic seized Ethan. He grabbed the man's clothes. He asked where he was going. The man said he could only move forward. He didn't know where the path led. He asked if Ethan remembered their code. Ethan immediately recited it. The young man smiled, satisfied. He stood up. He was a good half-foot taller than Ethan. Ethan urgently asked for his name. The young man suddenly swept him up into his arms. Ethan instinctively wrapped his arms around his neck. The young man laughed freely. He said Ethan was so light. He remarked that Ethan forbid others from carrying him this way, but he did it so smoothly himself. Ethan wanted to mock him, but he remembered this person was dead. This was a dream. He asked again for his name. He said he needed it for the memorial tablet. The young man placed him back on the bed. He knelt before it, just as Ethan had knelt by the wheelchair. He said he would tell him if he could come back. If he didn't return, Ethan should act as if he never existed. Ethan insisted he tell him now. The young man ignored him. He walked into the darkness, waving goodbye. Ethan tried to follow, but his feet were stuck. Ja, what was it? Ethan woke with a start. The room was filled with the pale light of dawn. He sat in bed for a long time. He couldn't distinguish dream from reality. He looked at his hand. He could almost feel the young man's abs, but he couldn't remember his face. He only remembered he was taller than Landon. He was more handsome with a better voice, and he could lift him easily. What else? His memory of the young man was veiled. He could only see a vague outline. Rose brought hot water for him to wash. She asked if he had dreamt of Landon. Her eyes were red again as she shook her head. Ethan slowly closed his hand. He said that he had come back. Rose asked what he had said. Ethan smiled slightly. He said he was the same as always. He spoke nonsense instead of important things. He hadn't even told him his name. But the dream was warm and comforting. When he woke, it was all gone. Ethan began sorting through Landon's things. He chose items for burial. Rose helped him. They gathered everything Landon had used in the last year. Clothes, books, games, even his pet birds. Landon had kept finches and parrots. They died when his health declined. He had buried them himself. He hummed a cheerful tune he called a funeral march. He even asked Ethan if he wanted to learn it. He said the undertakers could play it at his own funeral. Ethan had ignored him at the time, but his memory was perfect. He recalled every detail now. Landon had loved simple pleasures. Once he had a sheep brought from the farm. He wanted to see how its wool was shorn. He had said he'd be embarrassed if he were that sheep. He said it from his favorite reclining chair. He loved to lie in it, soaking up the sun. He was like a lazy cat. Ethan lay down in the chair. He picked up a book beside it. It was a cheap detective novel. Landon had circled the killer's name on page 3. It had ruined the book. Ethan had written a curse word and given it back. He never looked at it again. Now he saw Landon had written a reply. This person is the killer. Below Ethan's curse, Landon had written even Dr. Ethan was fooled. My apologies. I bow to you. Ethan looked at the messy handwriting. A small smile touched his lips. Landon was always like this. Annoying one moment, sincerely apologetic the next. That was the old Landon. The carefree, indulgent youth. When had he become so calculating? A dull ache started in his chest. Ethan closed the book. He still could not cry. In the study, Ethan found Landon's final letter. He left his mother's entire dowry to Ethan. He also requested his grandparents ask the Queen for a favor. With his death, the marriage should be nullified. Ethan should be allowed to return to his family. He would be free to marry again. Landon's mother's dowry was immense. It was comparable to Ethan's entire family fortune. Mr. Peterson also settled accounts with Ethan. He had quietly transferred ownership of half the estate's properties to Ethan. Landon had promised him this on their wedding night. He would leave Ethan his fortune to live freely. Landon had not lied. Only one matter remained unresolved. Mr. Peterson asked about the smuggling operation. He said Landon had known nothing about it. Ethan had planned to use it against Mrs. Blackwood. But now, she and her daughter were already ruined. The Blackwood estate was a husk of its former self. There was no need for him to act. He told Peterson to cover their tracks, but to keep the evidence. It might be useful later. Just then, Leo rushed in. He announced the prince had arrived. Lord Blackwood wanted Ethan to greet him immediately. The ruler and queen had acknowledged Landon's death. Julian, as heir, could not ignore it. It was a show of respect. Ethan knew this day would come. He said he would change and go. Lord Blackwood greeted Julian at the main gate. Ethan stood behind him with other family members. Julian offered his condolences. He said he had wanted to come sooner, but state affairs had kept him busy. He had taken over many of Lord Blackwood's duties. He was at the height of his power. Lord Blackwood asked about Natalie. Julian replied dismissively that she was unwell. He said he would offer incense on her behalf. Ethan looked behind Julian. The prince had only brought 2 guards. Ethan knew he was not that careless. His shadow guards were hidden somewhere. Julian walked past Ethan. A faint, knowing smile was on his lips. Ethan looked away first. They arrived at the memorial hall. As the widower, Ethan lit the incense. He handed it to Julian. Julian took it. He whispered so only Ethan could hear. "Little Ethan, you've lost weight." Ethan's expression remained blank. Julian looked at Landon's memorial tablet. He smiled slowly. He recalled Landon saying nothing was over until he said so. He gestured to the coffin. He asked if this didn't count as being over. Ethan's heart stirred. That was right. As long as that person hadn't said it was over, it wasn't. He regained his composure. He asked if the prince had heard the rumors about him. He was said to be a bad omen. He had brought ruin to the Blackwoods. Julian gave a wicked smile. He said he would never marry a man. He only wanted Ethan's face. Ethan raised his eyes. He asked how the prince intended to take it. Julian said he was in no hurry. He bowed 3 times to the memorial tablet. But he continued his insulting whispers. He said a patient hunt yields the best prey. Ethan's hand moved inside his sleeve. He was about to draw something out. A white light flashed before Julian's eyes. A figure appeared from nowhere, shielding him. A sharp pain shot through Ethan's wrist. He was thrown back several steps. A long sword was pressed against his neck. A maid screamed. She was quickly silenced. A man in black stood in the hall. His sword was steady. His face was emotionless. He was ordinary looking, but he could end Ethan's life in an instant. Ethan spoke his name in a low voice. "Silas." The man's eyes showed a flicker of surprise. Julian asked what he was doing. Silas stated that Ethan had a sharp object in his sleeve. This was treason. An attempt on the heir's life. Julian's eyes narrowed dangerously. He asked Ethan what foolish thing he was planning. Ethan calmly said the guard was mistaken. He pulled out the object. It was just an ornate tie pin. He explained it was one of Landon's mementos. He carried it with him out of habit. He apologized for the misunderstanding. Julian studied him for a long moment. Then he ordered Silas to stand down. The young man sheathed his sword. He said he deserved punishment. After that, Julian did not stay long. Ethan placed the tie pin in a box of burial items. After the mourning period, it was time for the burial. The family cemetery was in the south. A cousin, Lucas, came to escort the coffin. As the widower, Ethan would accompany them. It was nearly the new year. Ethan decided to leave after the holidays. On New Year's Eve, the estate was quiet. Ethan stayed at the estate, thinking of his family. He and Leo had a simple meal together. Dr. Hughes came to visit. He was alone in the city. Ethan's mother had invited him for a meal. She suggested he check on Ethan. He brought some pastries she had made. Ethan thanked him. Dr. Hughes said his mother was worried about him, and about his father, who was away on the western frontier. News from there was scarce. The war was ongoing. His father's return was uncertain. Dr. Hughes heard Ethan was traveling south. He warned him to be careful of the plague. Ethan nodded. He said he would be. On the 3rd day of the new year, Ethan left. He traveled with Lucas by boat. The journey south would take a month. He rented 2 large boats. One was solely for Landon's coffin. The dock was bustling. Ethan boarded the boat. Leo looked out at the river. He said he got seasick easily. Ethan suggested he return home, but Leo was determined to stay with him. The coffin was loaded onto the other boat. Landon had hated traveling. Now, in death, he had to endure this long journey. The boat pushed off from the shore. The city noise faded. The view opened up. The river was calm. The morning sun painted the water red. Ethan set up Landon's memorial tablet. He told him the view was nice. He said if he returned, he should travel more. He looked at the name on the tablet. Still felt wrong. After his dream, it felt like a lie. Landon was dead, but that other person might not be. After a few days, they stopped at a port city. It was one day's journey from the plague's epicenter. They needed to restock supplies here. Lucas asked if Ethan wanted to go ashore. He said the city was famous for its tea cakes. Ethan had no interest. He said he would wait on the boat. Lucas offered to bring some back for him. He said it was a thank you for a past dinner. Then he caught himself. He shouldn't have brought up the past. Ethan showed no reaction. He just asked him to buy an extra portion for Landon. Leo was feeling very seasick. He wanted to go ashore as well. Ethan told him to find an undertaker in town. He wanted a temporary memorial tablet made. Leo asked what name should be carved on it. Ethan paused for a long time. Then he said to carve John Smith. Leo was confused. He asked who John Smith was. Ethan replied that he was a bastard. The boat continued south. They were a few days from their destination. Then Lucas and Leo both fell ill. Their symptoms were identical: high fever, vomiting, and sores. A boatman from the plague region recognized it immediately. They had contracted the plague. The boatman warned Ethan to stay away. He said the disease was highly contagious. He said survival was a matter of fate. Ethan ignored him. He opened the medical case Landon had given him. He told the others to keep their distance. He was prepared for this. He covered his face with a cloth mask. He had everyone else do the same. He worked tirelessly, treating both patients. He used knowledge from letters exchanged with his teacher. He wasn't certain of a cure. He had to adjust the treatment as he went. Within a few days, their fevers broke. The sores began to heal. Soon they were recovering. They had scars, but their faces were spared. Lucas was immensely grateful. He called Ethan his savior. Ethan told him that wasn't necessary. He asked him to send a letter back to Dr. Hughes. He included the formula he had used. He hoped it would help. Because of the delay, they spent a festival on the boat. From the deck, Ethan could see fireworks in the distant city. The river was filled with floating lanterns. It reminded him of the light in someone's eyes. Leo pointed out the beautiful sight. Ethan watched for a while. Then he asked if they still had any wine. Later, Lucas came looking for them on deck. He saw a man in white sitting in the moonlight. His long hair flowed in the wind. He was drinking from a flask. His beauty surpassed the moon's. Lucas thought he was seeing a spirit. Then the boatman called out to him, breaking the spell. He called out to Dr. Ethan. Ethan paused, then turned. The light in his eyes faded when he saw it was Lucas. Lucas was taken aback. He felt doctor was a more fitting title for Ethan. He had wasted his talents being a widower. Ethan composed himself. He said it was nothing. It was a festival night. The moon and lanterns were the same as last year. 1/3 of the 100 days had passed. When they reached their destination, Lucas handled the burial. Ethan stayed at an inn. He did not even enter the Blackwood ancestral home. He only appeared on the day of the burial. He watched impassively as Landon was interred. Relatives whispered about his lack of grief. They said it confirmed the rumors. He was a curse. But the person being buried was Landon Blackwood. What did that have to in with someone named Ja? That person had only borrowed this body for a year. By arranging the funeral, Ethan felt he had repaid the debt. In early spring, Ethan returned to the capital. Landon's funeral was officially over. He prepared to formally separate from the Blackwood family. Dr. Hughes found him as soon as he arrived. He had two pieces of good news. First, Ethan's plague formula was a success. It was distributed across the nation. The epidemic was finally under control. Second, on the western frontier, a famous general had recovered. General Davis had been near death from a strange poison, but he had suddenly rallied. Ethan's father found an antidote during that time. General Davis was now recovering. He was so grateful he insisted on making Ethan's father his godfather. Dr. Hughes laughed. He said that made Ethan the general's younger brother. A younger brother? Ethan felt a strange sense of familiarity. Regardless, it was all good news. He felt a long-held tension release. He asked if his father would be returning home soon. Dr. Hughes said he should. Then he added more news. The ruler had heard about the plague formula. He had summoned Ethan for an audience. A few days later, the official summons arrived. Ethan was to enter the palace. Because of his connection to the queen, he was a distant relative. But he had no official title. He would enter as a commoner. Rose chose an elegant blue robe for him. Ethan remembered his first visit to the palace. That person had been so reluctant for him to go. He had worried the prince would be taken with him. He had also warned him about the ruler. Old men liked young, beautiful people. That person's prediction about Julian had come true. What about the ruler? Ethan told Rose he would not wear the blue. He asked for a garish purple one instead. Rose was surprised. She remembered he hated that color. But Ethan insisted. Even in the ugly robe, he was still striking. He followed a eunuch into the palace. He waited outside the main hall. The head eunuch, Mr. Sands, told him the ruler was with the prince. Mr. Sands was a powerful man. He had served the ruler for years. Ethan waited for over an hour. Finally, Julian came out. He was surprised to see Ethan. Mr. Sands explained the ruler was rewarding Ethan for the plague cure. Julian raised an eyebrow. He circled Ethan. He said he thought Ethan was just a pretty face. He leaned in close. He whispered that he was not just a pretty face. Ethan stepped back. He reminded the prince to conduct himself with dignity. Julian just smiled. Mr. Sands smoothly interjected. He mentioned the news about General Davis. He said Ethan was now the general's brother. This was a clear. General Davis held immense military power. As long as Julian was sane, he wouldn't alienate him over a substitute. Julian's expression changed. He sneered that the family was good at finding powerful allies. Then he left. A young attendant called Ethan into the hall. The ruler was in his 40s. His health was not good. He was tired from a long day. He gestured for Ethan to rise. Ethan stood with his head bowed. The ruler barely glanced at him. His garish clothes were unappealing. He asked if Ethan was the one who created the formula. Ethan said yes, but with guidance from his teacher. The ruler asked about his teacher. Ethan said he was a traveler with no fixed home. The ruler praised both of them. He said Ethan's father had saved his general. Now Ethan had saved his people. He was truly a worthy son. He told Ethan to name his reward. Ethan's eyes flickered. He said he wanted access to the National Medical Institute. He wanted to work with the nation's best doctors. He wished to study and serve the country. The ruler was surprised. Ethan wanted knowledge, not wealth or status. He said Ethan was talented. But as a widower, it was improper for him to be in public. Ethan knelt again. He said his duty as a spouse was fulfilled. He asked the ruler to reconsider. The ruler thought for a moment. He said the queen had also spoken of this. He finally relented. He granted Ethan an official position at the institute. Ethan bowed deeply, thanking him. Leaving the hall, Ethan almost laughed. He had achieved his lifelong dream so easily. It was almost ridiculous. Since Landon's death, his fortune had turned. He was wealthy, free, and now had a prestigious job. He wondered if it was that person's spirit protecting him. He ran into Dr. Hughes on his way out. Dr. Hughes was thrilled they would be colleagues. He then asked if Ethan had heard the funny story about General Davis. He said the ruler was actually quite troubled by it. The general second in command had filed a report. He complained that the general loved to sleep in. It was a disaster every morning. They had to hold military briefings at his bedside. The general even told them to keep it short. He said they all needed more sleep. Recently, during a night attack, the general appeared on the battlements wrapped in a blanket. He directed the defense half asleep. They won a great victory, but it was highly unconventional. Ethan was speechless. Then the ruler received a petition from the general himself. He said his near-death experience had changed him. He was no longer fit for command. He was now 30, an advanced age. He did not want to ruin his reputation. He begged to be allowed to retire to the capital. Ethan had admired General Davis for years. This behavior was bizarre. He asked Dr. Hughes if he was sure it was the same man. Dr. Hughes said his father had told him near-death experiences can change a person. Perhaps the general truly just wanted a peaceful life. The ruler, however, rejected the general's request. He ordered him to remain at his post. He also ordered Ethan's father to stay and monitor him. The general kept fighting and winning reluctantly. He also kept sending petitions to the ruler. Ethan returned to Blackwood Manor. He began to pack. He took only his clothes, books, and Leo, and all the assets Landon had left him. The property, the art, the banknotes. He was taking what was his. Pamela, the distant relative, watched the estate being emptied, but she said nothing. The family was broken. Money meant little now. Ethan left enough for her and the remaining staff to live comfortably. On the day he left, Pamela came to see him off. She wished him well. Ethan thanked her. He said he had left Mr. Peterson behind. He was a capable man who could help her. Pamela knew he was leaving a contact inside, but she did not question it. Ethan offered to help her leave the estate too, but she declined. She said the estate was her home. She was the patriarch's wife. A woman could not leave her husband. Ethan disagreed. He said no one was indispensable. He glanced towards the memorial hall. "You get used to it," he said softly, just as he was getting used to it now. Rose begged to go with him. She had been Landon's maid. She had promised him she would look after Ethan. Ethan agreed. He sent for her papers from Landon's grandparents. He formally made her a servant of his own household. He tried to bid farewell to Lord Blackwood, but the old man refused to see him. Finally, Ethan went to the family shrine. He offered incense for Landon. 3 sticks were from him. 3 were on behalf of that other person. Then he left Blackwood Manor for good. He took his wealth, a bunk bed, and a memorial tablet. He did not look back. He wondered if they regretted forcing this marriage. He hoped they did. He enjoyed seeing his enemies suffer. He did not return to his family home. The rumors about him were vicious. He did not want to bring shame upon his family. He had already purchased his own residence. It was a modest but comfortable house. The servants were all new, carefully chosen by Mr. Peterson. They greeted him as master. Ethan placed the John Smith memorial tablet in a small shrine. He instructed the staff to maintain it with daily incense. He began to unpack his books himself. Leo asked where to put the bunk bed. Ethan told him to put it in the study. He could sleep there sometimes. He had never slept on the bottom bunk before. Rose brought in a plant. She muttered that it was snowing again in March. Ethan looked out the window. White flakes were indeed falling. That night, he worked late in the study. He lay down on the bottom bunk. He listened to the distant watchman's bell. It was late. Another day was over. It was on a night like this that the man had left him. 70 days had passed. He touched the wooden planks of the top bunk. That person had told him to sleep well. But how could he sleep on a night like this? He thought that if that person were alive, he would be sleeping soundly. But when the snow ended, winter would truly be over. The last snow of winter fell for 3 days. Ethan walked through the palace grounds. He wore the dark blue uniform of a medical official. A young attendant led the way. He kept sneaking glances at the beautiful doctor. At the institute, he was met by his new colleagues. Most were polite, but one, the deputy director, was openly hostile. He called Ethan a boy who got lucky. He complained that Ethan had not earned his position. Dr. Hughes defended him. The deputy director scoffed. He said quick cures often have hidden dangers. Ethan replied that a patient must be alive to suffer side effects. Their argument was cut short when the deputy was summoned. Dr. Hughes told Ethan not to mind him. He had been deputy for 10 years, always overshadowed by Ethan's father. In the ruler's main hall, a furious debate was underway. The ruler was enraged by General Davis. The general had sent 10 petitions in a row. He demanded to be allowed to return. He wrote long, rambling letters, a change from his usual terse style. The ruler threw the petitions on the floor. The ministers all knelt in silence. Prince Julian calmly picked them up. He advised his father to be patient. He argued that as long as the general was winning, he should stay. If he started losing, then they could replace him. Furthermore, he suspected the general's desire to return was not just about retirement. He suggested his father order an investigation. The ruler agreed. He tasked Julian with the investigation. He then complained of a headache. Julian suggested the deputy director of the medical institute examine him. The deputy was summoned. He was an old rival of Ethan's father. He held a grudge. He would surely not be friendly towards Ethan. The pieces were all moving on the board, and Ethan was now one of them.